Hare Hare. So this is class number 6 about Lord Balaram. And this is chapter 67. And we discussed 65 and 67. We skipped 66 because that was Pondraka got smashed. And then Shukadev Goswami was requested, Maharaj Parikshit, tell us more of the glories of Balaram. So Shukadev Goswami is on a Balaram roll, several chapters in a row. And this is a very interesting chapter, the marriage of Samba. Now we heard already, it's good to hear it again multiple times. We'll hear from the 3rd canto Srimad Bhagavatam that Samba was an incarnation of whom? Samba was an incarnation of Kartikeya. Who's Kartikeya? Kartikeya is the son of Lord Shiva. And Kartikeya was known as a powerful warrior. I'm stalling for time because some people may come in a little bit late. So then they'll miss the main story of chapter 68. Kartikeya was the general of the demigods holding off the demons who were attacking the demigods. And Kartikeya had some difficulty. And so they came to the earthly realm and requested King Muchukunda to take his place. Muchukunda traveled to the heavenly realm, fought on behalf of the demigods for a long time, many days, non-stop, because demons don't follow any rules, many days in a row. Finally, Kartikeya was able to resume battle, and the demigods were so pleased with Muchukunda. We'd like to give you a benediction, any benediction you like. He said, I'm really tired. Let me just rest. And if anybody wakes me up, they're going to have a problem. If they wake me up before I'm ready to wake up, with my eyes, fire will come and they'll burn into ashes. Okay, you got it. So Muchukunda went into a cave outside of Mathura, and that's where Krishna knew, because Muchukunda was his devotee, he was a Krishna Bhakta. Krishna ran from the battlefield, remember? We discussed this? And Kaliyavana was chasing him and chasing him and chasing him.
Ranchu.
Yeah. And he couldn't find Krishna. He saw somebody lying in the cave, so he kicked him. That was a mistake. Muchukunda woke up. From his eyes came fire and crisped Muchukunda, threw Kaliyavana to a pile of ashes. So Muchukunda was a powerful personality, obviously, but so is Kartikeya. Now, my understanding is, the way that this works is, it's not that Kartikeya took a vacation and became Samba, but a portion of Kartikeya. We'll hear some of the detail quickly. But the various personalities who took part in pastimes with Krishna, some of them, we mentioned this already, some of them were eternal associates, and some of them were partial expansions of demigods under Krishna's order to assist him in his pastimes. So we'll hear some more about that. But that was... So Samba, like Kartikeya, Samba was extremely powerful fighter. And we also heard that he was one of the 3, at least there may have been others, but at least one of 3, that was trained by Balaram. in fighting with club. We've been discussing this. Bhima, Duryodhana, and Samba. And as Balaram was very affectionate to Duryodhana, Balaram was affected to Bhima. We're going to hear about that battle tomorrow morning. And the battle between Bhima and Duryodhana with clubs. And Samba. So he Balaram held Samba very dear to him. And Krishna held Samba very dear to him. As he held, we'll hear, as he held Jambavati very dear to him. The son of Jambavati, Samba, was very dear to him. Samba was the first son of Jambavati, as Pradyumna was the first son of who? Rukmini. In fact, they were born almost at the same time. Pradyumna was just a little older. We'll hear some of those details. So just a reminder why we're spending so much time on hearing about Balaram, besides Monday is Balaram Jayanti, so there's a good reason. But there's another specific purpose. We heard this, here it is again. Our main objective in hearing extensively Balaram's pastimes, and Shukadev Goswami explaining them, and Maharaj Pariksit being eager to hear them. The description of the pastimes of Lord Krishna and Lord Balaram are so attractive that they automatically give us an impetus to study repeatedly. And the more we study the pastimes of the Lord, the more we become attached to him. This very attachment to Krishna and Balaram makes one eligible to transfer to his abode, Goloka. So get attached, Prabhus, by hearing again and again, and studying again and again. As we have learned from the previous chapter, that was chapter 89, to cross over the material world is to cross over the stringent laws of material nature. The stringent laws of material nature cannot check the progress of one who is attracted by the spiritual nature. So that's our mission over these days, besides preparing ourselves internally for Balaram Jayanti. Now here's this reference I was making. It's Canto 3, Chapter 1. Samba, this is directly a quote from the text. Samba exactly resembles his father, the personality of Godhead. In a previous birth, he was born as Kartikeya in the womb of the wife of Lord Shiva, and now he has been born in the womb of Jambavati, the most enriched wife of Krishna. And Prabhupada's purport. All the demigods of the heavenly kingdom appeared as associates of the Lord in the forms of Pradyumna, Samba, Uddhava, etc. Kamadev appeared as Pradyumna, Kartikeya as Samba, and one of the Vasus as Uddhava. So that's just a preamble before we begin the chapter. So let's begin the chapter. It's very elevated. It's very elevated. Sukadev Goswami to Maharaj Pariksit, O king, Jambavati's son, Samba, ever victorious in battle, kidnapped Duryodhana's daughter, Lakshmana, from her Swayamvar ceremony. Now this happened at other times with other princesses, and it was considered a noble Kshatriya way of marrying somebody. The princess that her Swayamvarni comes in and scoops up the girl, and then does battle with the people that chase after him, and if he's victorious, then he marries the girl. It's a different kind of system than what we have. but it was the Kshatriya system, and it was noble. I think I can share this. I was discussing some of the details of Samba. Here's a detail I was discussing. It was Urmila Mataji. Many of you know Urmila. Very sharp lady, very learned Vaishnavi. And so I was asking her what she knows about a situation that's described by Jiva Goswami in his commentary on this chapter, that before the birth of Samba, Krishna went, it doesn't say where he went, but it says in Mahabharata, and Krishna Dharma says, he'll tell me what Mahabharata says about it. Krishna went to worship Lord Shiva with the petition to Lord Shiva that he would have Samba as his son. So I was like, what? And there's a nice explanation, which I'll circulate. I'll ask you to circulate. It's Gaur Govinda Maharaj. It's an extract from one of the Bindu magazine things, where he's speaking on this topic. Why did Krishna worship Lord Shiva? He has a lot to say about it. But it appears in a number of places that apparently... Now, here's a few explanations. One, the Shiva that he worshipped, one explanation is, the Shiva that he worshipped is a name of Vishnu. In Vishnu Sahasranam, that's one of the names of Vishnu. Because Shiva means auspicious, so it can mean the personality, the yogurt, the milk touched by souring agent, Lord Shiva, that Lord Shiva. That's one explanation. Another explanation is he was showing how to honor great personalities, like he honored by worshipping Sudama Brahman. He performed arti, bathed him and worshipped him, bathed his feet and worshipped him, to perform arti. And Rukmini's there with the chamara, and so he worshipped. So he's showing the proper position of worshipping. He doesn't need anybody's permission to do anything, but he shows respect to teach example. Anyway, I was discussing that point with her. What did she know about it? And one very prominent thing I remember from the discussion is she has always had an issue about Balaram kidnapping Lakshmana. She said, wait a minute, why you have an issue about it? Because it's a noble conduct for a Kshatriya. He said, well, from Lakshmana's position, I don't like what he did, because she didn't want to marry him, and he knew it. And he kidnapped her anyways. Like, for example, this is just, when the arrangement was made for Arjuna to kidnap Subhadra, Krishna personally checked it out to see, was she attracted? She was attracted. And then more things happened, several visits to Balaram's place, and they're exchanging glances, and they were already attached to each other before he kidnapped her. Anyway, in this case, Lakshmana, it was known by Samba. She didn't have that attraction. It doesn't say who she was attracted to, but she wasn't attracted to marry him. Although he's very, 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 very qualified, very beautiful, looking like Krishna. Anyway, here's Lakshmana, marriageable age, Duryodhana's daughter, high lineage, within the Kuru dynasty, and Samba. His name, Amba, means he was very dear to his mother. And powerful warrior, son of Jambavati and Krishna. Another name is Jambavati Sutta, the son of Jambavati. Harivangsha says something about this whole situation. This is an interesting detail. When Pradumna was just a baby, and he was taken by the abductor Shambhara. This we can read about the Shambhara abducting Pradumna in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 55, which is a few chapters ago. Samba was born to Jambavati around the same time. So Rukmini gave birth first, shortly thereafter Jambavati gave birth. So then comes Jiva Goswami's commentary. We discussed this a little bit. He wrote a commentary on Sanatana Goswami's commentary, the Tika of Vaishnava Toshini. And he writes, since Pradumna and Samba were thus almost the same age, the incident told now actually happened previously, though this is chapter 68. But this event goes way back to chapter 55. Why was it narrated so long after the event? Shukadeva Goswami's spontaneous mood at this moment is glorification of the prowess of Balaram. He was asked, and he became inspired and began speaking specifically, Balaram, Balaram, Balaram. So it was told later, although chronologically it's not in order. So the Bhagavatam is very logical but not chronological. And Jambavati had prayed for a son as beautiful as Pradumna, which is, he's not born yet, but she's praying, according to Jiva Goswami. Just as Jambavati was dear to Krishna, Krishna was very affectionate to her son, Samba. So all is well, except Samba came in and kidnapped Jambavati, during her Swayamvar. And the Kurus in Hastinapur, they're in charge of Hastinapur, became very upset. This ill-behaved boy has offended us, forcibly kidnapping our unmarried daughter against her will. Now apparently they knew that she didn't want to marry Samba, and he came anyways and did what he did. Commentary says they're referring to him as a boy because they found him to be disrespectful and proud. Now, whether he was disrespectful and proud or not, that's their regard for Samba. So they decided to make a plan to get their chief generals of their army, chase after Samba, and bring him back. Now, Bhishma, grandfather Bhishma, is in their group. Grandfather Bhishma was in their group. Grandfather Bhishma didn't object. Not like he approved, but he didn't object. He could have disapproved. The explanation is he knew Krishna had a plan, so he's not worried about it. And let these persons who are proud get a lesson, which is what happened. But Bhishma said specifically, you may capture him, but you can't kill him. You can punish him. You can put him in prison, but you can't kill him. Because that's, that would be very wrong. So, Duryodhana, pointing, if the Vrishnis come here when they learn that their son has been captured, we will break their pride. You notice what's going on. They're the proud ones, and they're going to get their pride taken care of by Balaram. Thus, they'll become subdued like bodily senses brought under strict control. Prabhupada writes in Krishna book. Samba wanted the daughter of Duryodhana, Lakshmana, although she was not inclined to have him. Therefore, Samba kidnapped Lakshmana by force from the Swayamvar ceremony. So the Kurus, and specifically the big generals, Karna, Shala, Bhuri, Yagyaketu, Suyodhana, that's six generals along with the rest of their men went chasing after Samba. The commentary says Bhishma also accompanied. Now this lists 5 warriors: Karna, Shala, Bhuri, Yagyaketu, and Suyodhana. He's there, but not mentioned in the verse. Vishwanath always has something interesting to say. Bhishma, who is identified in the verses Kuru Vridha, and Vidura gave them permission. Quote, "Since Samba has touched this maiden already, he must be the husband, for it would be improper to marry her to anyone else. To show our bravery and his impropriety, however, we should capture him but not kill him." Otherwise, Jiva Goswami's comment, others would see them as defeated, meaning the Kurus. But actually they approved of the act in order to reveal the false pride of their juniors. So the plot thickens. Different persons feeling things, different persons saying things, and off they go, chasing after Samba. Seeing Duryodhana and his companions rushing toward him, Samba, great chariot fighter, took up his splendid bow and stood alone against 6 warriors, 6 generals. I mean, Karna alone is very, very powerful. Determined to capture him, the angry bowmen, led by Karna, shouted at Samba, "Stand and fight, stand and fight!" showering him with arrows. So the battle scene. And here's another battle scene. And this is Samba. He was really good with a bow. Twanging his wonderful bow, heroic Samba struck with arrows the 6 warriors headed by Karna. And he pierced the 6 chariots with his many arrows. Each team of 4 horses with 4 arrows. And each chariot driver with a single arrow. And he similarly struck the great bowmen who commanded the chariots. He's pretty good. The enemy warriors congratulated Samba for this display of prowess. So we're going to hear further. They were really impressed. I mean, these are warriors, and they like fighting. They're not afraid of fighting. They like fighting. But when they recognized a very, very powerful fighter, they were honoring. This is a very special person. Srila Prabhupada writes, while Samba was so diligently fighting alone with the 6 great warriors, they all appreciated the inconceivable potency of the boy. Even in the midst of fighting, they admitted, frankly, that this boy Samba was wonderful. So it's not so bad because Lakshmana is going to marry a powerful Kshatriya. Harivamsa says, from childhood, Samba had been trained by Balaram. He was respected by Balaram and by all the Vrishnis. By his nature, he was an astounding boy. Harivamsa. So now back to the Bhagavatam. But they forced him down from his chariot, and thereupon 4 of them struck his 4 horses, and 1 of them struck down his chariot driver, and another broke his bow. And so what's next? They're going to grab him and tie him up, bring him back to Hastinapur. Having deprived Samba of his chariot during the fight, the Kuru warriors tied him up with great difficulty and then returned victorious to their city, taking the young boy and their princess. I mean, the logic, it fails logic because she can't be married to somebody else. They're going to put him in jail. Doesn't seem so logical. The victory of the Kurus was the will of the Lord for particular pastimes, just as Aniruddha was captured by the will of the Lord. So who knows the pastime? Who would like to volunteer and quickly narrate Aniruddha being captured by the will of the Lord? Aniruddha, Usha and Aniruddha. You want to narrate? Rough, quick, simple.
Basically, I mean,
Yeah, basically.
Usha was the daughter of Banasura, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so she, not on? Okay. Go on the roof and make it louder. So Usha became attracted somehow or other in dreams. She'd never even seen boys, apparently. She had to have seen boys. That sounded inconceivable. I don't know. She didn't see. See him. She kept dreaming, and then she dreamt of this particular boy. Her friend named Chitralekha. She was a great cosmic artist. She kept drawing pictures of different great personalities, and it came to Aniruddha, and said, "That's him. That's him." So somehow the word got out to Aniruddha, and he came and.
No, here's it's a nice detail. In addition to being a cosmic artist, she could fly in the sky without an airplane.
So yeah, she got there.
She went right into Aniruddha's when he was asleep and picked him up and brought him into Usha's room. Haribo.
So
nice to meet you.
Then speed up the story, and it seemed like she was, intimated that she was pregnant or something. There were symptoms that some of the guards noticed.
Not pregnant, just intimate dealing between a man and a woman.
And I guess the guards would be eunuchs, maybe. It's up for any imagination, usually. And so they reported to the father, who was not too happy.
Banasura.
And he's the guy with 1,000 arms, too. He's a pretty tough dude. 1,000 arms, I only have 2 arms, and they're not too strong. He had 1,000. So he came there, and Aniruddha got there through all this. They got through all this gaseous, weird moats and weird, heavy way. He couldn't penetrate that place, but they got in. So there he was, and he was there for quite some time before they noticed it. And the word got back to the father, and he came there, and there was a fight. I don't remember the details of the fight. It was a pretty bad fight.
Yeah.
And Aniruddha was captured. But the rest, Maharaj can tell now.
That's the main thing. Aniruddha's a very powerful warrior, as was Samba, as was Pradyumna, and that Aniruddha is a Vishnu Tattva personality. And how do you defeat a Vishnu Tattva personality? By Banasura, because he's got a lot of arms? So what? But by Krishna's will, Aniruddha was captured by Banasura. And so similarly, Samba was captured by 6 generals. They're powerful generals. But he's Samba. He's Kartikeya. He's a great hero, a great fighter from childhood. but they captured him. Jiva Goswami says specifically in Priti Sandarbha, all this was arranged by the Leela Shakti of the Lord for creating variety. Krishna wanted some fun.
That's actually not. That's actually Bhima and.
That's okay. That's okay. I know what it is. It's okay. Don't spoil the fun. It's okay. It's okay.
Mood is that.
Yeah, that's the idea.
Duryodhana's coming real life.
Yeah. I know the story. So, Karna and the other warriors returned to the palace with captive Samba and Lakshmana and put him in jail. Narada Muni, matchmaker Narada Muni, he sometimes does stuff like this. He went back to Dwarka and informed Ugrasena. Guess what, Ugrasena? You want to know where Samba is? He's in prison because 6 generals ganged up on him, which, by the way, is against Dharma codes for Kshatriyas. They broke Dharma codes. And urged by Ugrasena, not Krishna because he knew what was going on, they're ready to have war. This is before the Kurukshetra battle. They're ready for war before the war. You know, there's enmity, hostility. Now, Balaram to the rescue. Balaram, we discussed this. What's wrong? Balaram wanted to be the mediator, conciliatory Balaram. So he persuaded them, no, let me make peace. Peace in our times, right? Neville Chairman. I'll make a peaceful arrangement so we don't have to have bloody battle between our cousin brothers. And they had, the Ugrasena's warriors had already put on their armor and they were ready to go. And Ugrasena agreed, go ahead. So he, Balaram, took some ministers with him. We're going to hear one of the ministers he brought with him was Uddhava, another emissary of peace, and some brahmanas, some elders, and they traveled to Hastinapur by chariot. And it was a big production. The supreme person with all of his entourage looking like the sun with so many stars surrounding the sun and the ruling planets. He camped out outside in a garden outside the city. And Uddhava was sent inside the city to speak to Dhritarashtra. And here's a detail from commentary. Dhritarashtra means, literal meaning, having a kingdom. And he was unable to have a kingdom, but he was determined to have a kingdom. And the commentary says this is the cause behind the whole thing. I think part of the cause behind the whole thing is Duryodhana's pride and arrogance. So here's Dhritarashtra, the blind king. And Uddhava's gone specifically to have a conversation with Dhritarashtra. So Uddhava knows proper etiquette. He offered respects to the son of Ambika or Dhritarashtra, then grandfather Bhishma, Drona, etc., etc. Uddhava informed them that Balaram is just outside the city waiting in a garden. Now, Duryodhana has special affection for Balaram and vice versa. And he's the ruling personality. Dhritarashtra isn't ruling because he's blind. So it's Duryodhana is the guy. And he has affection for Balaram. So overjoyed, he and his associates went into that garden where Balaram was. They honored Uddhava, and they went forth bringing auspicious items to offer to Balaram. So they had a proper reception at least initially. They approached Balaram and worshipped him with gifts, cows, arghya, etc. Traditional gifts you offer to an exalted person. Those among the Kurus who understood his true power bowed down to him, touching their heads to the ground, which apparently not everybody did. Even the elders, like Bhishma Dev, also bowed down to Lord Baladev, because he knows. And after all those procedures, there was some cordial exchange. How are our cousins doing? How are the Vrishni and Yadu dynasty people doing? How are the Kuru dynasty people doing? That kind of, how is everybody doing kind of conversation. And then Balaram came with an explicit message from Ugrasena that wasn't received very well. King Ugrasena is our master and the ruler of kings. Now, they don't accept that. You'll hear what their different idea is. Duryodhana thinks I'm the king, and over there in Dwarka, they think that they're the king. Ha! I'm the king. And he's bearing royal insignias because we gave it to them. With undivided attention, this is Balaram, you should hear what Ugrasena has ordered you to do, and then you should do it at once. Here's the order. Even though by irreligious means several of you defeated a single opponent who follows religious codes, still I am tolerating this for the sake of unity among family members. It's our dharma what they did. And he didn't specifically say that, but Ugrasena implied that the Kurus, he didn't say it, but they should release Samba. And let Samba come back with Balaram to Dwarka. Ooh, Duryodhana. Right to Balaram. How much love did he have for Balaram? Hearing these words from Lord Baladev, which were full of potency, courage, and strength, and were appropriate to his transcendental power, the Kauravas, headed by Duryodhana, became furious and spoke as follows. Now, even after this, he wanted to marry his sister to Duryodhana. It's like really a puzzle, isn't it? Oh, how amazing this is. The force of time is indeed insurmountable. A lowly shoe now wants to climb on the head that bears the royal crown. Insulting words, right?
Yeah.
In the purport for that verse, Prabhupada's, this is the BBT purport. Here the Kurus indicate that the fallen age of Kali had indeed already begun, since they claim that now the shoe wants to climb on the head that bears the royal crown. In other words, they thought that the lowly Yadus now wanted to rise above the royal Kurus. It is because these Vrishnis are bound to us by marital ties that we have granted them equality, allowing them to share our beds, sheets, and meals. Indeed, it is we who have given them their royal thrones. No longer shall the Yadus be allowed to use these royal symbols, which now cause trouble for those who gave them, like milk fed to poisonous snakes. Having prospered by our grace, these Yadavas have now lost all shame and are daring to command us. How would even Indra dare usurp anything that Bhishma, Drona, Arjuna, and other Kurus have not given him? It would be like a lamb claiming to be the lion's kill. Insulting. And not only that, O best of the Bharatas, After the arrogant Kurus, thoroughly puffed up with the opulence of their high birth and relations, had spoken these harsh words to Balaram, they turned and went back to their city. They didn't even say Haribol. They just ignored him, turning their back to him, went back into the city. Bhishma didn't do that. Bhishma stayed. This is commentary. He knew what the offense we spoke yesterday. No, we spoke this morning about offense, the danger of offense, and this is a big one. Balaram. Seeing the bad character of the Kurus and hearing their nasty words, the infallible Lord Balaram became filled with rage. His countenance frightful to behold. He laughed repeatedly and spoke as follows. So he is now going to evaluate what headspace they're in, what's their consciousness, what's their way of thinking. Clearly, the many passions of these scoundrels have made them so proud that they do not want peace. Then, let them be pacified by physical punishment, as animals are with a stick. Only gradually was I able to calm the furious Yadus and Lord Krishna, who also was enraged. Desiring peace for these Kauravas, I came here. But they are so dull-headed, fond of quarrel, and mischievous by nature, that they have repeatedly disrespected me. Out of conceit, they dared to address me with harsh words. King Ugrasena, the lord of the Bhojas, Rishnis, and Andakas, is not fit to command when Indra and other planetary rulers obey his orders. That same Krishna who occupies the Sudharma assembly hall and for his enjoyment took the Parijata tree from the immortal demigods, that very Krishna is indeed not fit to sit on a royal throne? That's what they're saying. Balaram expresses how they directly insulted Krishna. The goddess of fortune herself, ruler of the entire universe, worships his feet. And the master of the goddess of fortune does not deserve the paraphernalia of a mortal king? The dust of Krishna's lotus feet, which is the source of holiness for all places of pilgrimage, is worshipped by all the great demigods. The principal deities of all planets are engaged in his service, and they consider themselves most fortunate to take the dust of the lotus feet of Krishna on their crowns. Great demigods like Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, and even the goddess of fortune and I, are simply parts of his spiritual identity. And we also carefully carry that dust on our heads. And still Krishna is not fit to use the royal insignia or even sit on the royal throne? There's contemplation before the use of his anger. Is our brahmachari friend with us this evening? The one from yesterday who got angry? No.
He's a little sick.
He's sick. I hope he gets well, because it would be good for him to hear all this. According to Srila Sridhar Swami, the place of pilgrimage, especially referred to here as the Ganges River. The Ganges water is inundating the whole world, and since it is emanating from Krishna's lotus feet, its banks have turned into great places of pilgrimage. So Balaram's going to get ready to teach them some lessons. We Vrishnis enjoy only whatever small parcel of land the Kurus allow us, and we are indeed shoes, whereas the Kurus are the head. Just see how these puffed up Kurus are intoxicated with their so-called power, like ordinary drunken men. What actual ruler with the power to command would tolerate their foolish, nasty words? He's getting a little worked up. A ruler cannot tolerate these words, otherwise there would be no control. Now, it's a Kshatriya function. That's another detail this young man should understand. We should all understand. It's not abuse of power. When people are out of line, there's some correction is needed. Today I shall rid the earth of the Kauravas, declared the furious Balaram. He took his plow weapon and rose up as if to set the three worlds ablaze. His plow got really big. The Lord angrily dug up Hastinapur, which became separated from the earth, with the tip of his plow, and began to drag it, intending to cast the entire city into the Ganges. Did you paint this one? Yeah. So it's a nice painting. I mean, over on the right side, that's the Ganges. And over on the left side, that's Hastinapur. And in between is people freaking out as he's dragging the city towards the Ganges. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes, by the Lord's desire, his plow had increased in size, and that as Balaram began dragging Hastinapur towards the water, he ordered the Ganges, shh, except for Samba, you should attack and kill everyone in the city with your water. Vishwanath, commentary. Seeing that the city was tumbling about like a raft at the sea, as it was being dragged away, and that it was about to fall into the Ganges, the Kauravas became terrified. To save their lives, they approached the Lord for shelter, taking their families with them, like, bring their families so he would cool out, instead of just the warriors. Children, wives. Be nice, Balaram. Placing Samba and Lakshmana in front, they joined their palms in supplication. Balaram was not worried about Samba falling into the water. He pulled the city only to scare them. Commentary, of course. So now there's a number of prayers that the Kauravas are going to say, oh, Rama, Rama, foundation of everything. If they knew that, why were they saying these other words? We know nothing of your power. Please excuse our offense, for we are ignorant and misguided. Since we did not know your powers, and since you are merciful to the fallen, you should not consider our offense. More of their supplication. You alone caused the creation, maintenance, and annihilation of the cosmos, and of you there is no prior cause. Big turnaround, huh? Indeed, O Lord, authorities say that the worlds are mere playthings for you as you perform your pastimes. Comment in the Narayana Dhyatma, the creation of the Lord does not depend on a goal. He does this simply out of bliss, like the dancing of a madman. Interesting commentary. This is Vishwanath, I think. I'm not sure. So more from the Bhagavatam. Oh, unlimited one of 1,000 heads. Why do they say these other things to him? As your pastime, you carry the earthly globe upon one of your heads. At the time of annihilation, you withdraw the entire universe within your body, and remaining all alone, lie down to rest. Commentary. During the daily, after Brahma's day, there's a night. During Brahma's night, the universe remains protected within your form as Garbhodakshay Vishnu. And in another form, you hold up the planets on your hoods. So there's a nice painting. There's Kurma at the bottom, and there's an Antashesh with his many hoods, and there's Bhumandala resting on his hoods. Your anger is meant for instructing everyone. Too bad our friend is not with us. It is not a manifestation of hatred or envy. O Supreme Lord, you sustain the pure mode of goodness, and you become angry only to maintain and protect this world. So in the commentary, the Kurus admit that Lord Balaram's anger was entirely appropriate and, in fact, was meant for their benefit. Yay. Lights went on. Because, Vishwanath, because you exhibited this anger, we have now become civilized. Whereas previously, we were wicked and could not see you, blinded as we were by pride. By your kindness, you removed our pride. Commentary. What type of anger? The purport of Balaram's anger was to maintain respect for the rules of conduct, Kshatriya duty. Because you exhibited such anger, we are now obedient. So Balaram is being respected instead of defiled. We bow down to you, O soul of all beings. These are verses from the Bhagavatam directly. O wielder of all potencies, O tireless maker of the universe, offering you obeisances, we take shelter of you. They did a 180. So now here's Gopal Champu. In connection with all of this, there's some slightly different language. With their heads bowed in shame, they brought Samba with the young maiden, that's Lakshmana, and surrendered to Balaram. Balaram, glancing at them with compassion, began giving them instructions. O best of the Kurus, you should never do such wicked acts. Duryodhana, gaining his senses, worshipped Balaram along with the citizens in fear. Bringing a huge dowry and placing it in front of Balaram, he requested him to depart with the bride and groom. Samba has a different idea. Samba, being embarrassed, requested to have a fair fight with each of the Kurus in front of Balaram. He did not even mention Lakshmana's name. At this, the worried Kurus touched their turbans and crowns to Balaram's feet and prayed for his mercy that Samba accept the bride. Balaram wants to calm them. This is back to the Bhagavatam. Thus propitiated by the Kurus, whose city was trembling and who were surrendered to him in great distress, Lord Balaram became very calm and kindly disposed towards them. Do not be afraid, he said, and took away their fear just by his speaking like that. The chapter is almost finished, so get ready for an abrupt ending. The Supreme Lord, chief of the Yadavas, accepted all these gifts and then departed with Krishna's son and daughter-in-law as his well-wishers bid him farewell. They became well-wishers for their own protection. Duryodhana's dowry, Vishwanath gives a list. 1,260-year-old elephants, I don't know what that means. 120,000 horses, 6,000 golden chariots shining like the sun, 1,000 maid servants with jeweled lockets on their necks. That's dowry. Wedding dowry. Then Lord Alachua entered his city, that's Dwarka, and met his relatives because he went on a peace mission. They were going to go for war, and he came back with this dowry and Samba and Lakshmana. Mission accomplished. They're all relatives. They're very attached to Balaram. They're very happy. No war. Not yet, anyways. Because of his expert dealings. And final comment. Even today, the city of Hastinapur is visibly elevated on its southern side along the Ganges, thus showing the sign of Balaram's prowess. And there we are. There's Balaram. Wow, your hand's up already. Do we have a microphone? Yeah, there's another, but he jumped the gun.
I just wanted to give a little background about Samba and Jambavati.
Jambavati, okay.
Once Lord Vishnu went to visit Lord Shiva, and this is in the Brahma Vaivarta Purana.
Okay.
It stated that when Parvati saw Lord Vishnu, she was enthralled, so to speak. I mean, amazed at his beauty. And so Lord Shiva later on told her in a future incarnation, you would have to become his wife. And so it stated that was how Jambavati was a portion of Parvati. And Samba, being the son of Parvati, I mean Kartikeya, he took birth as Samba. And so when Samba was to born, Lord Krishna went to get permission from Lord Shiva in the Himalayas. So all these are connected. So when he prayed to Lord Shiva and for Samba to take birth. See, so it's all related. But this, this is in the Brahma Vaivarta.
Thank you. I spent multiple hours and engaged multiple scholars, and it should have just come to you.
Thank you all for listening. Haribol.
Brahma Vaivarta Purana. So there's another hand up over here. Could you do a little favor? Send me the reference. I mean, you're narrated, so where you extracted that from, because I couldn't find it. But Joe, so send me the reference.
I'll try to share it. I picked it up online.
Okay, you're smart. You know how to use it. Google. I don't. I mean, I'm not as smart as you. Anyway, can you do that? Do you know how to contact me? Send it to Prema Tarangati. She knows how to contact me. You know how to contact her?
Yeah.
Okay. You have, okay. So, okay.
Also, I remember Brihad Vaishnav Tosani, I read that the pastimes of how Srimati Radharani took the second position as a Satyabhama, the whole story is given.
Yeah.
And how Chandravali came as a Rukmini, the head chief.
Yes.
And Jambavati is the Lalita Devi. That there is a whole explanation given also by Sanatana Goswami Pad. But I was not referring because my question was, I remember hearing Prabhupada's lecture that where Baladev at that time, he declared, Ekala Ishwar Krishna Ar Sabhritta.
Really?
I didn't know Balaram speak Bengali. I mean, because that's the thing. Prabhupada said that, Maharaj. So,
That was a good one.
so my question is, Duryodhan has really issue with Krishna, that all these prayers, nothing mentioned about Krishna. He's glorifying Balaram as his supreme God,
Yeah,
this, that.
yeah.
What's wrong with him?
What's wrong
with
with whom?
Krishna? He doesn't mention anything about Krishna.
Well, that's, he's got a thing for Balaram. And he got a thing for Balaram, but look what he did with Balaram. He insulted him and insulted Krishna and turned around and just left. Very insulting for someone who is. He's a wild man.
But according to Prabhupada, because Balaram is glorifying Krishna is the only supreme Lord, including me, I am servant. So Duryodhan should have at least, out of etiquette, say something good about Krishna.
Well, he wanted to save his skin. That's what I think was going on. Not like who's right and who's wrong. I just want to save my skin. And the people, the citizens were really upset with him. And, their whole city is being dragged, turned upside down because of him. So he had to check Balaram. So anyway, I agree with you. He should have, could have, but he had this thing. And therefore, his submission to Balaram is cosmetic, or it's utilitarian. Yes.
Maharaj, at the beginning of the story, you were mentioning that Bhishma, when Lakshmana was stolen, that he wasn't upset, that he knew it was part of the plan. Correct?
Well, not exactly he knew the plan, but he had all confidence in Krishna and Balaram. So whatever's going on is okay.
Right. So it reminded me of the quote of Siddhanta where he says that everything is going along according to Krishna's perfect plan. There's no need of reform. And those that think there's need of reform, they themselves need to be reformed. So I'm just...
You're a believer in that one, right?
Well...
You try.
Yeah, exactly. Could you elaborate on that a little bit and how to say that and how to know, okay, this is part of Krishna's plan, or you just take action if you think it's needed, but then ultimately the results, we have to see that it's...
It takes a heart that's pure. And if you know how to get a heart that's pure, you're going to change your microphone. To get the heart that's pure is by the process of bhakti starting with chanting, hearing and chanting. And that makes the heart pure, and then one can be fixed. Until then, it's anishtita, because there's other stuff going on. The anarthas are going on, and it's sometimes higher, sometimes lower, and they were being tossed around. So how to get that fixed is pure, by the process of purification, starting with chanting. Just chant Hare Krishna mantra with no offense, that's all. Small thing, right? That's how. Anything else?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Maharaj, I was just thinking about the disrespect of Lord Balaram. And can you speak a little bit about disrespect for a devotee, and also how a devotee should deal with disrespect outside of the devotee circle? Like disrespect within the devotee circle and disrespect outside the devotee circle. Because we deal with that at work, and also sometimes devotees deal with that. We cannot imitate what Lord Balaram did, but or we cannot do anything what Lord Balaram did. But should we be showing anger? Should we not be showing anger? Because in Nectar of Devotion, I think it says that you only show anger when a devotee is blasphemed. So can you speak a little bit about that, Maharaj? Thank you.
I'm thinking like four things. I'm scanning which of the four things to put first, because there's many things to say on this topic. I'll start with as a strategy. There has been a plan for the past 3 years to reach the hearts and the minds of non-resident Indians, Western people. And the strategy, part of that strategy has been social media, and then promote an event that's given this euphemistic name, Body, Mind, Spirit. Could be anything, but the description of it is nice. So lots of Western people come. And one of the themes of one of those events, a weekend event, it was respect. Because all people, not just Western people, all people value relationships. So the theme was respect, the fabric of any relationship. So in that, embedded in that is your response to your question. But it's like three parts so it's layered. And the topic for that audience is not so much respect of devotees, it's respect of samoham sarvabhuteshu, seeing all living entities with equal vision, pandita samadarshana. So that takes spiritual conception of life and spiritual consciousness to see according to the spiritual conception. So now back to your question. How do we show respect? We respect for devotees because they're spirit soul like any living entity, and amongst the living entities that are spirit souls, devotees are very special, a unique category. Amongst many millions, they're very unique, and so respect goes to them for their at least attempt, however less than perfect someone may be, they're attempting to some degree or another to try to please Krishna. So respect goes to those two. They're spirit souls and they're trying to please Krishna. However, imperfectly, just as I'm less than perfect, the respect goes to those things. So in the devotee circle, then it doesn't mean that we lose our faculty of discrimination. We can't see what's what. We just turn intelligence off and smile. That's not what respecting of a Vaishnava means. We can see levels, for example, more advanced peers, less advanced, and then there's gradations and there's diversity and there's respect where respect is due. Just like we heard when Balaram came to visit Vrindavan, according to everyone's position, he offered respect. That's a cultured person does that. Uncultured person that's another story. But your question was, what should we do as practicing Vaishnavas amongst Vaishnavas? According to position, respect should be extended, appropriate for their position. Elders, women, children, peers, more advanced, less advanced. So there's factors to consider, and respect commensurate with the individual's position. Then there may be some special friendship, and so then I had lunch with Brahmatirtha today, and he was telling me some Prabhupada stories. He was telling me they're really funny. And Prabhupada had a relation, one should always respect the spiritual master. But he was describing a relationship that Prabhupada had with certain devotees, that he encouraged them to be more like a friend to him and talk back to him. Or, you know, I'll tell one story. Harikesh had such a relationship where, you know, he there was some place and all there was a kerosene burner, and he wasn't able to get the chapatis to puff up. So Prabhupada complained. He said, you know, I can't, Prabhupada, it's impossible. So Prabhupada came, and it's funny. Prabhupada rolled the chapati, put it on the kerosene flame, and it didn't puff up. And so Harikesh said, "Ha." And Prabhupada rolled another one and it puffed up. And he said to Harikesh, "Ha." And then he took another one, puffed it up, and threw it at Harikesh and said, "Ha." And then Harikesh said, part of the dialogue, I don't know who said to whom, Shrutakirti would never argue back with me. It was no fun. So, I mean, you know, Prabhupada was absolutely a personalist. He knew etiquette, and he, at the same time, he liked repartee to some extent, back and forth with, you know, the right persons when it was done in the right mood and the right way. Now, it's not easy to understand that because we don't enter into those kinds of dealings. We're just from a distance and very respectful. And that's the proper. But at the same time, when there is an intimacy, not taking liberties and transgress by familiarity breeds contempt, but you know, there's diversity. So back to your question is, how should we as devotees continue to offer respect in all circumstances? So you see on the spiritual platform, and you see the bhakti platform, and there's respect in different degrees, and at different times. Some devotees, a devotee may be more, sometimes a little better, and sometimes a little weaker. And we honor that can happen. It does happen, and you try to see on the spiritual platform. Then the other category is devotees to non-devotees. Then it just goes to the platform of the soul. Now, in some cases, it's right in Prabhupada's writings, one doesn't chastise another unless it has the proper relationship. When there's a teacher-student or the parent child relationship, they may, and others may not. They don't have the privilege, because if you don't have that relationship, you don't have the privilege. But when you have that relationship, then it's in some cases it's duty bound to speak strongly, not necessarily chastise. You know, then in the world in which we move, you'll be a little circumspect, be quite tolerant, because the world is a place of duality. You just tolerate duality, and then when it's appropriate, you say something. You know, it's a little bit like Vedavati's comment about her sister. You know, you're very circumspect about what you may say to a family member or to someone that's not an acquaintance. You may note with your discriminating power, this is the situation. It's in this range at least. So you don't turn your intelligence off, but your conduct and speech should be ideally appropriate for the circumstance. Now, what's to discern what's appropriate for the circumstance? My answer to that is, it takes intelligence, and intelligence comes from Supersoul. And if you don't have intelligence, better err on the side of caution and just be tolerant. And if there is something that is to be said, then it takes intelligence to what to say and how to say it. And if you don't have intelligence, then you're not going to do it right. So better to err on the side of caution. be more tolerant than, speaking up about stuff. Ragamika's got her hand up.
Thank you, Maharaj.
If I can tell a little pastime of Srila Prabhupada regarding that respect in our moving in the outside world. On an airplane, there were some rugby players, and
Prabhupada airplane?
on the airplane, yeah.
Okay.
And I believe it was Shruti Kirti or Shamasundar, I don't know which one, but they were not supposed to be smoking, but they continued smoking even after having been told by the stewardess or something like that. It was just, they violated something like that. And of course, it's quite disturbing to the devotees, smoking.
Yeah.
So, Shamasundar, or what's his name? Shruti Kirti, was going to get up and kind of express his
Disapproval.
disapproval, yeah. But Prabhupada held him back and he said, what is the difference between us and them if you cannot tolerate? Anyway, because it might have been beyond their control. I have a question also, if I may. The other day, a few of us were trying to remember, there's a series of individuals, maybe 4, of a cultured person gives respect to, one of them is by age,
Yeah.
one is by education. Do you know the 4?
No.
Oh, I know there's a little set of 4 individuals like that. Does anybody know that? Oh, position as well. Yeah. One's position.
Social.
Yeah. Relation? Well, that's elder. Old age. Huh?
You didn't get a 10 on this one.
Yeah, okay. That's all.
How about you could continue to research and send it to us if you find it. If you don't find it, you won't send it to us. But if you find it, send it to us.
Is it lineage?
Huh?
Like dynasty? If some is a respect to dynasty.
The lineage of birth. Yeah, so let's see what she comes up with.
Oh, I need this.
Okay, here comes the Bhakta Mike. Yeah.
They send things, the teller sends it much quicker to the bank. when you go to the window. That when devotees were visiting Lalit Prasad, who was, Prabhupada said, on the level of his guru, he was the brother of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. Then he was sort of competitive with Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. But when they first went there, there's photographs, and Prabhupada was very respectful, and they're very ecstatic looking faces, you see it shooting on maybe Haigriva's there. But gradually devotees would visit there on the way from Calcutta, and they reported to Prabhupada that he was intimating that he could give higher knowledge than Prabhupada, So Prabhupada said, don't go there anymore, right? Or he said, you could challenge him, because Prabhupada is very intent on developing Birnagar, that Bhaktivinoda Thakur's birthplace. He said, but you can challenge a very senior person. He was like 2 generations above, he's even Prabhupada respecting him as guru. So even if you're a junior, you can challenge him by questioning him. That it's like a sidestepping the etiquette kind of that you say, is it good that someone has the qualification to develop Bir Nagar, but if someone doesn't allow that, someone meaning him, is that good? And he gave the example asking him those questions, because He wasn't developing it, and Prabhupada wanted to, but he was also being offensive, to, saying that he was giving higher knowledge, so just to work around it. But he said you can challenge a senior person, even if you're very junior, by asking them question. Is it like this? Is that, So it's kind of a legal maneuver.
Yeah.
Legal etiquette maneuver /
Yeah.
You must have heard all the story.
You gave very nice. But he wanted to remain as an initiating guru.
He wanted to reinitiate.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I didn't know he was that bad, but yeah. So actually, Guru Kripa and Yasodhananda had notes they'd taken from him. This is before. Anyway, later on, they got the Sodlikita Jivani. So they had many notes. They had some notes, and Prabhupada forced them to tear that up. He said. Then he gave an example that he said, practically speaking, my Guru Maharaj, he did so much preaching all over India, but what did his brother do, Lalit Prasad? He stayed in one place 50 years. He did. So just see the practical result. In other words, to convince them, Prabhupada was very good in logic. So, because, he was a respectable person. Guru Kripa said he would immediately be chanting shlokas when they would go there, and when they're leaving, he's chanting shlokas, and always chanting shlokas.
We can apply one more also in that. Prabhupada says, it's in the Vedas that he wrote the letter to Guru Kripa Maharaj that don't go there, even though he's a pure devotee, my Guru Maharaj also pure devotee, but their relationship is so tricky that you may commit offense.
Exactly.
He said, you will commit offense. Therefore, I suggest you don't ever go there.
He said, he is transcendentally envious of my Guru Maharaj, but you will not take it like that. So you can think, what does that Prabhupada mean? You will not take it like, in other words, you'll get influenced by it. So.
Good.
Okay. Look what you started, Ragamika. Yeah. It's okay. You found something about the four?
I found 8 reasons for respect. 8.
Ragamika, listen.
8 reasons for respect. This is according to Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Sri Chaitanya Shikshamrita, Chapter 2, Part 2. Proper respect should be given considering the person's status. This is called maryada. Not giving proper respect is considered a great fault. One should give respect to all human beings, but one should give more respect to a man with position. Most respect should be given to the devotee. The following is the order given in the order of respect due. 1. Respect to humans. 2. Respect to those who are civilized. 3. Respect to position. 4. Respect to the educated. 5. Respect to those with good qualities. 6. Respect according to Varna. 7. Respect according to ashram. 8. Respect according to devotion.
They're all overlapping.
No, there's a hierarchy.
There's a hierarchy. He said in the or. Yeah, the last is the highest. He said according to the respect due. Yeah, the order is like that.
Just see what Google search can do, even in the middle of a class. It's her phone, but it's Google search. She knows how to do it. I was surprised she's able to find things very quickly. Very quickly. Okay, so I think we should end. And I brought some Mahaprasadam, and I'll do that Mahaprasadam thing, and then our host can maybe, if those people that want to stay a little longer, engage in kirtan, because he's really good with kirtan. If he's still around. He's have a small child, maybe he's occupied. Srila Prabhupada ki?
Yeah.